Okay, so we should be fairly well versed at solving right angle triangles using Pythagoras' theorem and the trigonometry that we know already. Today we're going to have a look at non-right angled triangles and how we solve those. So we'll look at two rules today, and the first one will be the sine rule. Okay, now what we've got here is a triangle, and there's a couple of things I want to point out. So this here is what I'm talking about. We have each angle is labeled. We've got angle A, angle C, angle B, okay? And you notice that opposite A, we've got this lowercase a. So that's the side length. So we call the side length opposite A lowercase a. We can also call it BC. So those are the same thing, and BC means you're going from B to C. So those are the same thing. And again, opposite B, we've got this lowercase b, and it's either lowercase b or A, C. And finally, we've got opposite C, we've got lowercase c or AB. Now, that's just the triangle label. So you need to get to know that. There's no specific meaning. Because there's no right angle. It's not like the hypotenuse with a right angle triangle. It has to be a specific side. It's just whatever you label it, you've got to be consistent. And so after we've done that, or we've established our labels, what we can do is we can develop this sine rule. We're not going to prove it, we're just going to use it. So what it means is if we divide A by the sine of the angle A, that's equal to if we divide B by the sine of the angle B, and same as the C value. Okay, and we can use this to find out unknown angles and unknown sides for triangles that don't have a right angle, which is really, really helpful. So I just want to jump straight into an example now. And what I've got is the example in a triangle ABC. The angle B is 21 degrees, C is 46 degrees, and AB, the side length, is 9 centimeters. Solve the following triangle. So what that means is solve this triangle is find the unknowns. And I've just in the top corner put up our sine rule, just so we can quickly refer to that. So the first thing to do is draw out this triangle. Okay, so that's what I've done here. I've just drawn out what we know. We knew angle B was 21, C was 46, and we know AB is 9 centimeters. So now we also know that AB, it's opposite the angle C. So that means this angle here, the 9 centimeters, is also what we refer to as C. So C equals 9 centimeters. Now, the first thing we can do is we can actually work out this angle A using our knowledge already. So firstly, we know triangles have 180 degrees. Therefore, angle A equals, I'll just come down, it equals 180 minus what we've already got, so minus the 21 and minus the 46, okay, which equals 103 degrees. Okay, so we've already solved one of our unknowns. This angle A is 103 degrees. And now we can get on to our unknown side lengths. Oops, so actually just a little mistake there. That should be equal to 113. This angle here, 113. So just fix that up. 113. Okay, so what we want to do now is substitute our known and unknown values into these equations here. So if I grab my A is down the bottom. I don't know what that is, so I can just leave that as A divided by sine of my angle A, which is 113. We just calculated. Sine of 113. And that equals B divided by sine B. Now we don't know B either, so I can just put in the letter B, and my angle is 21, so sine 21 degrees, and that equals my side length C, which is 9 centimeters. So I can just put in 9 divided by the sine of this angle, which is actually 46. I don't know what happened to my 4. So sine of 46. Okay, so now what I want to do is I just want to grab the part of equation with one unknown. So this one has one unknown, the A, with the part that has no unknown. So we know every part of it. And I want to make those equal to each other. So what I mean is I can write A over sine 113 equals 9 over sine 46. Okay, those things are equal to each other. And then my next step, I can multiply both sides by this sine of 113 to get a by itself, because that's what I want to work out. So a equals 9 over sine 46 times the sine of 113. Okay, and I just put that into my calculator, and it will give me my answer value for a. And if you do that, you get the value of a equals 105 centimeters. Okay, and now what you can do is the same thing for our b value. So I'll do that in green. So we write out b over sine 21 equals 9 over sine 46. Okay, rearrange for b. So b equals times both sides by sine 21. Okay, and again, put that into your calculator, and you get the answer of our b value equals 4.48 centimeters. So that's how we use this sine rule. And I also want to just introduce another rule, which is the cosine rule. Okay, so here's the cosine rule, and depending on what values you get, you can use either the sine or the cosine. So again, we've got the same triangle, so this should not be new. So all of these labels are identical to what we've already been looking at. And with the cosine rule, again, we won't have to prove it, but these are the relationships we get. So we get a squared equals b squared plus c squared. Okay, that looks very familiar, but we get this end term here, minus 2bc cosine of a. And we get these three relationships, okay? And you can see the real difference between them is the angle. So if we have the angle A, we would use this first equation because it's got this A value here. If we have the angle B, we'd use this equation. If we have the angle C, we'd use this one. All right, but they're all very similar, and we'll have a look at how to use one of these now. Okay, so here's the example. In triangle ABC, which I've drawn out, AB is 42, BC is 37, and AC is 26. Okay, solve the triangle. So we want to find all of the angles. I'm just going to show you one because the other steps are pretty much identical. So let's have a go at that now. All right, so what I've done is I've just put my little formula up the top here. That's all of them. And what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm just going to work out one angle, and I'm going to work out angle A. Okay, which means I have to choose this first equation because it has the capital A in it. So you might want to, just before you get started, label your side length. So this one, the opposite A is the lowercase a, opposite B is the lowercase b, and opposite C is lowercase c. And what I'm going to do is just substitute straight into my equation. So a squared is 37 squared, and that equals b squared, 26 squared, plus c squared, which is 42 squared, minus 2 times my b, again 26, times by my c, which is 42, cosine my unknown a. Okay, so I'm going to have to do a bit of rearranging here. The first thing I want to do is I've got these two values here, just they're added on, so I can just minus those from both sides. So I'm left with 37 squared minus 26 squared minus 42 squared. Okay, and that equals, if I multiply this out, 2 times 26 is 52, and 52 times 42, put that in your calculator, it's 2,184. So that equals 2,184 cosine of A. All right, what I want to do now, my next step, is to divide both sides by 2,184. So divide this whole thing. Okay, so these ones cancel, and I'm left with 37 squared. And you could just put this in calculator. I just can't be bothered simplifying yet. Minus 42 squared over 2,184 equals cosine of A. Okay, now we remember from our trigonometric formulas that we have looked at that we can get a by itself in this scenario by taking the inverse cosine of both sides. So if I take the inverse cosine of 37 squared minus 26 squared minus 42 squared over 2184, I'm just left with that is what A equals. And I can just substitute that straight into my calculator and it will spit out my angle. Okay. And just one more thing, I like leaving these mistakes in because it shows you how easy they are to make. When we divided here by this value, notice there's a negative that comes with this number. So we should have divided by negative and a negative here, which puts a negative here and finally a negative here. Okay, and if we do put that negative in and all the correct numbers in, we get our A value is equal to 60.3 degrees. Okay, now again, I'm not going to go through all of them because it's basically the same process as this. You can have a go. But yeah, thank you.